Okay, good morning to all. Hope you are listening to my voice and also able to see the presentation. Can you able to see the presentation? Please type in chat box. Please type in chat box. Use chat box. Is my voice clear? Is my voice audible? Oh, thank you very much, Shravan. If any problem, please unmute yourself and talk. If there is any problem, please unmute yourself, one of you, and you can speak. So the subject is geotechnical engineering. Of course, it's not one. For earlier regulations, it is geotechnical engineering 1. Now it is geotechnical engineering. So we have merged two subjects into one, G1, G2 for this regulations. And also this course outcomes also changes. So this we will discuss later on. And these are the program outcomes defined by NBA. So after completion of the BTech program, so what competency should be possessed by the students? So that is defined by NBA. So they have divided into 12 points. So one is engineering knowledge. After completion of program, students should be able to apply the knowledge of mathematics, science, engineering fundamentals, and an engineering specialization to the solution of complex engineering problems. Next, problem analysis. Identify, formulate, review research literature, and analyze complex engineering problems, reaching substantiated conclusions using first principles of mathematics, natural science, and engineering sciences. So this is somewhat higher level. First one, compared first one, second problem is next level. And design our solutions. So design solutions for complex engineering problems and design system components or processes that meet the specified needs with appropriate consideration for the public health and safety and the cultural, societal, and environmental considerations. So in the third category, you not only design, but also you have to consider the other factors in the problem, right? Suppose, okay, I want to construct a building, right? I will design the building. I know the subjects, maybe RCC building or steel building, I can design. But are you designing with concern to environmental effect of the building? What materials you are using? What is their effect to the environment? How you have decided the materials for the construction of that building? So these factors comes into picture. So if you make that judicious choice, then it's good. And also, how you have designed it. Is it optimum design, or you are consuming more materials or more processes for the construction? So that also you have to look into. Next, other one is conduct investigations of complex problems. So some cases we have to do research, use research-based knowledge and research methods, including design of experiments, analysis and interpretation of data, and the synthesis of information to provide valid conclusions. Suppose if you want to generate new solutions, the existing solution is not there, then you can do research and find new solution. So this is the next level. So this is the highest level. So from this first PO1 to PO4, PO1 is lowest level and it's an increasing order of complexity. And PO5 is other elements. These are other elements. This is PO5 modern tool usage. So how you are using the modern tools? For example, you are learning Revit. So it's a modern tool. So are you able to use that modern tools? Okay, STAAD, ANSYS, some other softwares, maybe MX Roads for transportation, like this new softwares, maybe GIS. You know these softwares or not? Are you learning these softwares or not? The next one is engineer and society. So apply reasoning informed by the contextual knowledge to assess societal, health, safety, legal, and cultural issues, and the consequent responsibility relevant to the professional engineering practice. So now you have to look into engineering and a society. So the knowledge you are using, you have to see whether societal problems, health, safety also you have to consider. Next, environment sustainability. So understand the impact of the professional engineering solutions in social environmental context and demonstrate knowledge of and the need for sustainable development. For example, we are using cement, we are using concrete, but they are polluting or steel. So can you reduce those effects by searching for alternative materials? That also you can think, or you optimize the existing materials, use of existing materials. Thereby you can reduce the environmental effect. Ethics, apply ethical principles and commit to professional ethics and responsible norms of the engineering practice. So we should follow ethics also. Next, individual and teamwork. So how we are functioning? Function effect as an individual and as a member or leader in diverse teams and in multiple settings. So you have to work as a team and you have to work as an individual. Both you have to have competencies. In the team also you have to give better output and also as an individual member. Next, communication. So communicate effectively on complex engineering activities. So the engineering community and research at large. So you need to be able to communicate properly. Next, project management finance. So demonstrate knowledge and understand engineering and management principles and apply these to one's own work as a member and leader in a team to manage projects and in multidisciplinary environments. And the last one is lifelong learning. So you have to recognize that need for and have the preparation ability to engage in independent and lifelong learning in the broadest context of technological change. So information is generated, our knowledge is generated continuously. So we need to understand that what we have learned is not sufficient. So we should show interest in lifelong learning. Then only we can evolve over time. Okay, this is about POs. There are 12 POs. Okay, PO1 to 4 is about the content based on the knowledge in the domain, and other thing is other softwares, engineering society, environmental sustainability, ethics, individual and teamwork, communication, 10, 11 is project management finance, lifelong learning. 12 is lifelong learning. You need to understand it. We need to learn continuously throughout our lifetime. That need you to understand. So these are the POs defined by NBA. Okay, we'll move on to the first unit. Of course, this is based on old context. Of course, now these are the contents: soil formation, major soil deposits of India, different types of soils, so coarse and portionless soils, limitations of soil engineering. The next one is claim indulgent soil structure, basic structural units, adsorb water and soil structure. Next, basic definition of soil mechanics, three-phase diagram of soil, volume relationships, weight relationships, mass, weight, volume relationships, relative density. So these are the topics. I think already the last one we have discussed. Basic definition soil mechanics. This I think already we have covered. Now we see the first one, soil formation, etc. But also we review. So how soil is formed. Of course, you have not studied geology. If you have studied geology, you can have idea of how soil is formed. So what is soil? Soil is naturally occurring unconsolidated material. So unconsolidated means loose material. So it consists of soil particles which are produced due to weathering of rocks. So how do you get the soil particles? So the soil particles produced from the weathering of the rocks. So the voids between solids may contain water or air. Sometimes organic matter between the voids. Once again, weathering of rocks may be either physical or chemical or biological weathering. There are three types of weathering: physical weathering, chemical weathering, and biological weathering. So any type of weathering may takes place in the disintegration of rocks. So soil mechanics is a branch of mechanics dealing with the action of forces on soil particles and flow behavior of water through the soil. So it can be defined: soil mechanics is a branch of mechanics dealing with the action of forces on soil particles and flow behavior of water through the soil. And the father of soil mechanics is Dr. Carl Terzaghi. Father of soil mechanics is Dr. Carl Terzaghi, who has contributed much to this profession. And soil engineering or foundation engineering, it's an applied science dealing with the application of principal soil mechanics to the practical problems. Now, the soil foundation engineering is an applied science dealing with the application of principal soil mechanics to the practical problems. So finally, geological engineering includes soil mechanics, soil exploration, and soil reinforcement, and sometimes geology, and also foundations also. So soil mechanics, soil exploration, and soil reinforcements, and foundation design, and sometimes geology also. Now, origin of soils. So it is mainly due to weathering of rocks. It produces gravel, sand, silt, and clay particles. Due to weathering, these particles are produced. So soil is also formed due to decomposition of organic matter. Produce soils like humulose soil or organic soil. Examples are peat, muck, humus. So these are organic soils: peat, muck, humus, etc. Next one is weathering of rocks. Well, you need to understand geological cycle also in this context. Weathering of rocks of two types. Seven, what is the problem? You have raised a hand. Seven. Seven, you have raised your hand. Please unmute yourself and talk. Seven.
Sir, have network problem, sir.
Then what I can do for your net problem?
No, sir, nothing, sir.
Okay. Okay, is it audible? Can you able to see the presentation? Okay, if any problem is there, please unmute yourself and speak. If there is any problem in seeing the screen, my screen, and also in my voice, or if you have any doubt also, you can unmute yourself and raise your doubt. Okay, so we're discussing weathering of rocks. So weathering of rocks of two types. First three, we'll have physical weathering, chemical and biological weathering also. So physical weathering means it is due to physical phenomenon. So examples of weathering, physical weathering are temperature change, wedging action of ice, penetration of plants roots into rocks, abrasion of fused rocks. So soil produced due to physical weathering is gravel and sand, and chemical weathering it is due to chemical reactions. Examples for chemical weathering are oxidation, carbonation, hydration, hydrolysis. Soil produced due to chemical weathering is clay and plastic silt. So hydrological cycle of soil is the weathering. The particles get separated from the rock, parent rock. Then they get transported by different agencies like wind, water, ice, etc. So transported and deposited some other place and upheaving. So these are the hydrological cycle. As soon as soil gets weathered from rock, it is transported from that place to some other place, or transferred from that place to some other place where deposition occurs. If this deposition continues, it results in upheaval. So this is the hydrological cycle of soil. So first weathering takes place, transported to some other place, deposition takes place, next. So transportation of soil, that is due to different agencies, geological agencies. So one is wind, water, glaciers, and gravity also. These are the different agencies causing the transportation of soil. So names of soil depending on their mode of transportation. So based on the type of transportation, okay, the soils can be named as iron soil, iron, AEO. So this means air. Therefore, transported and deposited by wind action, that soil is called as iron soil. And alluvial soil, transported and deposited by water along river beds, that we call it as alluvial soils. Next, lacustrine soil, transported and deposited water in lakes. So if it is deposited into lakes, it's called lacustrine soil. But for both these cases, water is the medium. Next, marine soil, transport deposit water in sea. So all these three are once again agencies water. It deposits along the river bed, alluvial soil. Deposits into lake, it's called lacustrine soil. Deposits into sea is called marine soil. And glacier deposit, transport deposit by glaciers, slow moving ice mass. And transport deposit by gravity called as colluvial deposit. Colluvial deposit. So these are the different names for the soils based on mode of transportation and deposition. And this is very important. You have to remember this. Usually some bit will be asked based on this which type of soil it is. So types of forces acting on soil. So what are the forces that act? So gravitational forces, surface forces. So gravitational force proportional to mass. Example is self-weight. These forces are dominant in gravel and sand, but in case of silty soils, both body force and surface are dominant. So surface force means proportional to surface area, nature of surface and ambient conditions. Example is cohesion, electrochemical forces. These forces are dominant in clays. So the surface forces are dominant in clays, and gravitational forces are dominant in gravels and sands. Next one is field names of soil. So what are the names that you get in the field? One is block cotton soil. So in India, many places are block cotton soil is available, and that is causing the problems for the construction. It's a residual soil. So it's a residual soil, right? It is highly plastic. So what is the meaning of residual soil? It is formed at the same place where weathering takes place. At that place only it is formed. That's called residual soil, right? It's not transported. So the rock at a particular place gets weathered. There itself it forms into a soil. So that we call it as block cotton soil, residual soil. It's highly plastic and highly compressible. So other feature of this one is it's highly plastic and highly compressible. It has very poor strength. So it will have poor strength. Parent rock is basalt or trap. So this is formed from the basalt rock or trap. And it exhibits large swelling and shrinkage due to presence of the mineral called montmorillonite. So the mineral called montmorillonite. So that causes these properties, large swelling and shrinkage. Other one is loamy soil. It is a mixture of sand, silt and clay. It is best suitable for agriculture. Muram soil, it is gravel mixed with red clay. Best soil for construction purpose. Warwood clay, alternate thin layers of silt and clay. So warwood clay is alternate thin layers of silt and clay. It is a lacustrine deposit. Deposit found in lakes. This warwood clay is found in lakes. So bentonite clay, so decomposed of volcanic ash, highly water absorbent. So this is also a bentonite is also a part of montmorillonite group. So decomposed volcanic ash, highly water absorbent. Slurry is called drilling mud. So this bentonite slurry we call it as drilling mud, and it is used in many constructions, and it's very important. So we need to understand the properties of the bentonite clay. Talus is a colluvial deposit. Talus is a found at the foot of hills. Although we have seen due to gravity force it will fall. So it is found at the foot of the hills. It is a colluvial deposit. found at foot of the hills. It has large size deposit. The next one is dune sand. It's island deposit. So found in deserts. Uniform sized particles seen in deserts especially. So we find this dune sand or island deposit in deserts. Now you can see this map. So major soil deposits in India. So we'll have alluvial deposits. So where do you see near Rajasthan this alluvial, sorry, where you find these alluvial deposits, wherever rivers is there. So it's Ganga river is there. At that place you can find this alluvial soil. So wherever rivers are there, that place you can have alluvial deposits. Desert soils. Next you will find, so this vertical one here, Rajasthan, you can see here what desert soils. And laterites and lateritic soils. The next one is black cotton soils, this horizontal here. And marine, seashore you can have the marine. All along the seashore we can have the marine deposits. And you have boulder deposits some places. So these are the different deposits in India. Okay, this formation of clay minerals. Okay, this we will discuss later on. I will discuss this point later on. Okay, I will skip this now. The next one is phase relations of soil. So basic definition properties of the soil. So partially saturated soil, that is soil plus water plus air. Fully saturated soil, soil plus water. Dry soil, solids plus air. Frozen soil, you can have solids, water, ice and air for frozen soil. You can see the three phases of soil. The soil mode is given dimensional value for the solid, water and air components. So for this soil we are giving dimensional values. So for the solids, what is the volume and what is the weight? For water, what is the volume and what is the weight? Air, what is the volume and what is the weight? We are giving dimensional values. So soils can be partially saturated with both air and water present, or fully saturated, no air present, or perfectly dry, no water present. So these are the extreme states. In a saturated soil or a dry soil, the three-phase system thus reduces to two-phase only, as shown. Now you can see here, this is the left side diagram is the actual soil. You will have solids, voids, and some water, etc. That we are showing it as separated for understanding purpose like this three-phase diagram. Okay, the solids part we have separated into volume and weight. Similarly, water, its volume and weight. Air, its volume. Of course, weight we neglect it. When there is no air, fully saturated, and there is no water, full dry soil. So for the purpose of engineering analysis and design, it is necessary to express relations between the weights and volumes of the three phases. The various relations can be grouped into three: volume relationships, weight relations, and interrelations. As the amounts of both water and air are variable. So once again see here, for the soil, this water and air are variable. They are not constant. So the volume of solids is taken as a reference quantity. Therefore, solids quantity is taken as the reference quantity. Thus, several relational volume quantities may be defined. The following are the basic volume relationships. So here this is missing, equation is missing here. So one is here, void ratio. So void ratio is, it's not there, it is VV by Vs, volume of solids, volume of voids to volume of solids, and that value is greater than 0. And porosity, and is expressed as a percentage. It is a ratio of volume of voids to total volume. The value varies in the range of 0 to 100%. So void and porosity are interrelated to each other as follows. So the volume of water in the soil can vary between 0, dry soil, and volume of voids. This can be expressed as degree of saturation S in percentage. So we know degree of saturation is given by VW by VV into 100. For dry soil, S is equal to 0%, and for fully saturated soil, S is 100%. So where is in the range 0 to 100%. Air content, so is the ratio of volume of air to volume of voids. And for air voids, the ratio of volume of air to total volume. For this already I have discussed in the previous classes. Okay, can you see the presentation now? Can you see the presentation now?
Yes, sir.
Right. Thank you. So void ratio E. So it's the ratio of volume of voids to volume of solids or soil grains. VV by Vs, and it have no units. Expressed as decimal. Usually we express it as a decimal, and the value of E is greater than 0. Porosity is the ratio of volume of voids to volume of soil. VV by V. This also have no units. It is expressed as percentage, so multiplied by 100. Value varies in the range of 0 to 100%. So void ratio and porosity are interrelated to each other as follows. So the volume of water VW in a soil can vary between 0, dry soil, and the volume of voids. So this can be expressed as a degree of saturation in percentage. So you can define the degree of saturation as ratio of volume of water to volume of voids. That is VW by VB. This also have no units. And also expressed in percentage. So it varies from 0% to for dry soil to 100% for fully saturated soil. So varies in the range of 0 to 100%. Air content is the ratio of volume of air to volume of voids. Percentage air voids is the ratio of volume of air to total volume. The next one is density is a measure of quantity of mass in a unit volume of material or quantity of weight in a unit volume of material. So unit weight is the measure of weight of a unit volume of material. So the units of density are expressed in terms of, one is ton per meter cube, kg per meter cube, or gram per cm cube, or kilogram per meter cube. So the following are the basic weight relationships. So water content W. So weight of water in soil by weight of solids or soil grains in soil. So water content. So it is a ratio of weight of water in soil to weight of solids or soil grains. Also called as moisture content. Also we call this as moisture content. Its value is 0% for dry soil. And its magnitude can exceed 100%. It can be more than 100%. So for some soils, it may go to 800% also. For some soils. So the mass of solid particles usually expressed in terms of their particle unit weight. So we can express the mass of solid particles usually in terms of particle unit or specific gravity GS of soil grain solids. Therefore, you can write WS, so weight of solids is equal to GS, specific gravity of soil grains, into volume of solids into gamma W. So gamma W is the unit weight of water. So for most inorganic soils, the value of GS lies between 2.6 to 2.80. So for most of the inorganic soils, it is in the range of 2.6 to 2.80. The presence of organic material reduces the value of GS. If some organic material is present, it reduces the value of GS. So dry unit weight is a measure of amount of solid particles per unit volume. So the bulk unit weight is a measure of amount of solids particles plus water per unit volume. So in the bulk unit weight, you have both weight of water and weight of solids per unit volume. Saturated weight is equal to bulk density, the total voids filled up with water. And buoyant unit weight, subunit weight is the effective mass per unit volume when the soil is submerged below the standing water or below the groundwater table. So this buoyant unit weight gamma dash is equal to gamma minus gamma W. Gamma bulk minus gamma W gives the, gamma saturated minus gamma W gives the buoyant unit weight or submerged unit weight. I will have some interrelationships. It's important to quantify the state of soil immediately after receiving in the laboratory and prior to commencing other tests. The water content and unit weight are particularly important since they may change during transportation and storage. So this is very important. We have taken the sample in the field. So during transportation, what happens is the water content will change. Therefore, what happens? The bulk density also changes. So you need to be careful. So you see that water should not last in the sample from the time of collection of sample to from the time of testing. So to pressure the water content. Some physical state properties are calculated following the practical measurement of others. For example, dry unit weight can be determined from the bulk unit weight and water content. The following are some interrelationships. Now you can see here. So W, water content, you can write this as WW by WS. That's the weight of water to weight of solids. So weight of water can be written as gamma W into volume of water, and WS can be written as GS gamma W into VS. So from this we can derive SE by GS. We complete this SE by GS, or SE is equal to W into GS. So, or W into GS is equal to E into SR. SR is the degree of saturation. And we know gamma, we have derived the expression gamma is equal to GS plus E into SR divided by 1 plus E into gamma W. This is the bulk unit weight. And if substitute degree of saturation 0 for dry soil, this becomes GS gamma W by 1 plus E. Similarly, you can write gamma D is equal to bulk unit weight divided by 1 plus W. And W you have to use in fraction, not in percentage. This water content you have to use in here fraction, not in percentage. So other formula is gamma is equal to 1 plus W into GS gamma W by 1 plus E. And gamma dash is, this is submerged unit weight is GS minus 1 by 1 plus E into gamma W. GS minus 1 divided by 1 plus E into gamma is the submerged unit weight, gamma dash. Now you can see the problem. The problem here is a fill having a volume of 150 cubic meters to be constructed at a void ratio of 0.8. The borrow pit soil has a void ratio of 1.4. Find the volume of soil required in cubic meters to be expended from the borrow pit. So here water content is not changed, but sometimes we change the water content also. But in this problem, water content is not changed. Now you can see here. So this is the borrow pit state, and this is the fill state. You assume it as like this, right? Of course, here I have assumed fill state. The volume is less, but it may be more also. Depends upon on the case. So I'm taking volume of borrow pit is VB, and volume of fill is VF. But whatever the solid particle, so we are getting some volume from the borrow pit and we are placing at the fill. That means what? Whatever the solids present in the borrow pit, same solid present in the fill also. We don't get extra. Whatever there, I am getting some place, I am placing here. Therefore, solids cannot vary. That's the main condition. Therefore, VSB is equal to VSF. That means volume of solids in the borrow pit will be equal to volume of solids in the fill. That's the condition. Therefore, if you assume that VSB or VF is equal to 1, therefore you can write VB by VF is equal to, that is volume of borrow pit by volume of fill is equal to 1 plus EB by 1 plus EF. Now here he has given borrow pit void ratio is 1.4, fill void ratio is 0.8. Therefore, we can get VB by VF as 1.333. Can calculate. Now we know what is the volume of fill. we want 1,50,000 cubic meters. Right now, therefore, we can calculate volume of borate is required is 2 lakh cubic meters. So to get fill with, so if you want to fill having a volume 1,50,000 cubic meters at this point it void ratio and the borate having void ratio 1.4, then we require around 2 lakh cubic meters. Now we can estimate this. Now how to, so each truck carries how many cubic meters, then you can know how many trucks are required to transport it and what is the cost estimation. These are all the things we have to do. We need to do cost estimation also. How many trucks, what is the cost? So based on this, we need to once again quote the tenders for the contractor. So you have to quote the tenders, how to quote the tender for a particular work. So then in that case, you need to estimate all these things. So you have to quote properly. Otherwise, you get loss in the contract. Or else you may quote more. Therefore, the tender goes to other party. We have quoted the minimum value. So another problem we can see here. A soil is to be excavated from a borrow pit, which has a density of 1.75 gram per cc and water content of 12%. Now we are having a borrow pit that is having a density of 1.75 gram per cc and water content 12%. The specific gravity of particle grains is GS is 2.7. The soil is to be compacted so that water content is 18% and dry density is 1.65 gram per cc. So for 1000 meter cube of compacted soil, estimate the quantity of soil to be excavated from the pit, amount of water to be added. Also determine the void ratio of soil in borrow pit and compacted soil. This we have to estimate. Once again, see the things. So once again here, volume of solids is equal to volume of solids in borrow pit is equal to volume of solids in fill or compaction. Right? These solids remain same, but voids will change. And also here water content also changes. So I am calculating first. You can see here dry density of borrow pit. He has given the bulk density 1.75 gram per cc and water content 12%. Therefore, I can calculate dry density of borrow pit. That is 1.562 gram per cc. Right? And I find the ratio. We know dry density of compacted states 2 and he has given dry density compacted fill is 1.65 and dry density of borrow pit is 1.5625. Therefore, that ratio I am calculating. So that ratio we can write this as weight of dry soil in compact state to volume of soil in compacted state divided by weight of dry soil in borrow pit divided by volume of borrow pit soil. So from this what you can get, but the solids remain same. Dry soil weight of solid. Therefore, this comes to VB by VC. Therefore, you can, this relation you can remember. So gamma of dry density of compacted soil divided by dry density of borrow pit soil should be equal to volume of borrow pit soil divided by volume of compacted soil. Because I know both the dry densities, that is 1.5625, and also I know what is the compacted soil required, 1000 meter cube. Therefore, I can calculate borrow pit volume. That is comes to 1050 meter cube. So for every 1000 meter cube of compacted soil, I require 1000 meter cube of borrow pit soil. Once again, what is the weight of solids in? Weight of solids in compacted soil is equal to volume of compacted into gamma of DC. So that comes to 1000 into 1.65 into 9.81. So that comes so many newtons. So we get 16.1693 kilonewtons. This is the weight of soil required at the compacted place. Therefore, volume of compact soil is equal to W SC divided by GS gamma W. This is the weight of solids. The weight of solids here. Therefore, similarly, volume of solids in compacted states will be equal to weight of solids divided by GS gamma W. So, from here we get volume of solids as 611.11 meter cube. Therefore, void ratio is equal to what? E is equal to total volume in compacted state minus volume of solids divided by volume of solids. Is nothing but volume of voids. Numerator is volume of voids divided by volume of solids. So we have calculated the solids volume. We know volume of solid is 1000 meter cube. Divided by this is 0.6363. So therefore, the calculated void ratio of the compacted soil is 0.6363. Similarly, you can calculate VB minus VBC by VBC gives volume of borrow pit soil. That is 1056 minus 611.11. Divide 611.11. That is equal to 0.728. 0.728. So we have found out the void ratios. Then what we need? We have to add how much water to be added to the compacted soil. Okay. So we need weight of water in compacted soil minus weight of water in borrow pit area. That is nothing but weight of water to be added, difference. But what is that one? But we know water content is equal to what? WW by WS. Or W is equal to what? W is equal to WW by WS. But WW is equal to how much? Water content into weight of solids. Therefore, replace here weight of water in compacted soil, nothing but water content in compact soil multiplied by weight of solids. Similarly, here weight of water in borrow pit soil is equal to water content into weight of solids in borrow pit. So that comes to, for this weight of solids is same in both the cases. So weight of solids into water content compacted soil minus water content borrow pit soil. But we know compact soil is 18% and borrow pit soil is 12%. So now we can get the weight of solids is, we have calculated here 16.8, 16.3 into 0.18 minus 0.8 gives 971.19 kilonewton. So this much weight of water we have to add to the compacted soil. So please remember this problem. So this is the problem usually you get. Okay, this problem we are trying to understand this. This is the type of problems we get in examination. If you understand this one, similar problems you can do at any point of time. Probability is around 30 to 40% probability is there to get this problem in the examination. Now you can see this is the specific gravities of different some materials, minerals. Gypsum 2.2, Montmolly 2.40, orthoclase 2.56, kaolinite 2.60, elite 2.60, chloride 2.3, quartz 2.66, talc 2.7, calcite 2.72, muscovite, dolomite, argonite, biotite, agate. These are all the minerals, hornblende, limonite, hematite, hydrous, magnetite, hematite, 5.17, 5.20. So this is magnetite and hematite specific gravities. These are all the minerals, typical minerals specific gravities. Similarly, type of rock or soil, hard sound rock. So packing of grains high. What is the bearing capacity? Now it is given here. What is the bearing capacity? So hard sound rock. So what is the bearing capacity? You can see here 3240 kilonewton per meter square. Soft rock, it is 440 kilonewton per meter square. Compact gravel, dry, coarse and sand. This is also around 440 km square. Fine sand, 1 km square. Loose and dry fine sand, 100 km square. Hard stiff clay, once again it is 440. Hard stiff clay, medium clay, 245. Soft clay, black cotton soil, around 100. Very soft clay, 50 km square. So now you can see. So this is relation between soil type and bearing capacity as per IS 1904 1978. Okay, any doubts? If you have any doubts, you can ask. If you have any doubts, please raise. If you don't have any doubts, I think this another topic is there that I will discuss and I will close for today. If you have any doubts, you can raise. So we'll discuss another problem. For a partially saturated soil, deduce the following expression, where E is equal to void ratio of the soil, Gm is equal to mass specific gravity of the soil. Now this is the specific gravity of the soil, Gm. And Gs is specific gravity of solids and or grains, and SR is degree of saturation. So what he is asking is, derive this relation. E is equal to Gs minus Gm by Gm minus SR. So how to derive this relation? So we'll see how to derive that one. Let us see. Let us define what is gamma. So we know for any material, unit weight is equal to what? The secret of the material into gamma W. The same thing. Therefore, gamma of soil is equal to Gm, specific gravity of the material into gamma W. But what is that value? W by total weight of soil by volume of soil. What is the total weight of soil? It is WW plus WS divided by Vs plus Vv. That will be equal to what? W can be written as Vw into gamma W, and Ws can be written as Gs Vs gamma W. So divided by, here we take Vs common, it becomes 1 plus E. Right? And if this 1 plus E comes this side, take a Gm into gamma W is there. I bring 1 plus E this side and Gm gamma W this side. Therefore, what happens now? 1 plus E, right? And this gamma W and gamma W gets cancels. I cancelled it here. Sorry. This is as I am bringing 1 plus E this side. So 1 plus E is equal to Vw gamma W plus GSVS gamma W divided by Gm into Vs into gamma W. Into here also gamma W is there. Now this gamma W gets cancels. Right? Therefore I can write, so Vw can be written as what? SR is equal to Vw by Vv. Therefore Vw is equal to Vv into SR. Therefore I can write Vw as Vv into SR, and plus this is Gs Vs divided by Gm into Vs. And if you divide by Vs, what happens here? Vv by Vs becomes E, and here Vs just gets cancels. Therefore, it becomes E into SR plus Gs by Gm, right? And if you bring Gm this side, what happens now? This becomes Gm plus Gm into E minus this E into SR comes this side is equal to Gs. Therefore, if we take E common, so E is equal to what? Gs minus Gm divided by Gm minus SR. So this is the derivation. So by considering gamma, we can derive this relation. If some other problem is there, the water table in a certain area is at a depth of 3 meters below the ground surface. The water table in a certain area is at a depth of 3 meters below the ground surface. To a depth of 12 meters, the soil contains a very fine sand having an average voidage of 0.8. So up to a depth of 12 meters, okay. So the soil is very fine sand with average voidage of 0.8. Above the water table, the sand has an average degree of saturation of 50%. Determine the average unit weight of soil above the water table, the saturated unit weight of the soil below the water table, the submerged unit weight of the soil below the water table. So the soil you have to find out. And as given, it's a very fine sand. Void ratio 0.8 is given. And total depth of is 12 meters. Water table below 3 meter depth. So we have to find out above water table what is the unit weight, average unit weight, and below the water table what is the saturated unit weight and what is the submerged unit weight. So above water table you have to calculate what is gamma, below water table you have to calculate what is gamma saturated and gamma dash, that you have to estimate. And here is given degree of saturation is given 50%. Degree of void ratio is given. But we know we need to find out water content. What is water content? W is equal to W into GS is equal to E into SR. So we know E, we know SR. Above water table SR is 50%. Below water table is fully, therefore 100%. SR is 1. What we don't know? Water content we don't know. We can estimate water content. And GS is not, but you have to assume here. For very fine sand, so for fine sand, it will be around 2.65. We can assume GS for the fine sand as 2.65. Then we can solve the problem. So void ratio is given. Therefore, unit gamma is equal to what? We know gamma is equal to GS plus E into SR divided by 1 plus E into gamma W. So gamma W we know. GS we have 2 points we can assume. So what is there? E is known. You can calculate. SR is also known. So SR you can directly calculate the gamma. Gamma is equal to GS plus E into SR. Similarly, below whatever also you can calculate, that is gamma is equal to gamma saturated is equal to GS plus E, because SR is equal to 1 divided by 1 plus E into gamma W. So gamma W we know 1 gram per cc or 9.81 kg per meter cube. By substitute you can calculate this, solve this problem. It's a simple problem only. That's all. Okay, any doubts? I think. If you have any doubts, you can ask now. Please, if you have any doubts, please ask your doubts. We'll discuss. Please unmute yourself and ask any question. Are you listening? Okay, if you don't have any doubts, I think for today I will close the session. We'll take another session the next week, coming week, someday. So we need to have doubts. So nobody is asking doubts. I don't know. At least you respond in chat box. Please type in chat box. Have you learned any new thing today? So what you have learned, please at least type in chat box. In today's class, what you have understood regarding this subject. Is there any use of attending the class, or there is no use? Please type in chat box. I request all you to use chat box. Please type. Okay, you can speak, Praveen. You can unmute and speak if you want. See, discussion is important. So communication, discussion. But why nobody is asking any questions, I don't know. Simply listening, no use. Okay, you can speak. Somebody has raised their hand. You can speak. Please unmute yourself and speak something. Thank you, Rajesh, for your feedback. Others? Others, please respond or chat. Or you can speak by unmuting yourselves. Please speak something. Okay, formation of soil, soil formation cycles, steps of soil. Okay. Others, please. type in chat box, or else unmute yourselves, please. Something you can ask questions. You can ask other questions, or not only this subject. You can ask whatever the doubts you have. We'll discuss. No problem. You can ask your doubts, not only the subject. Other things also you can ask. I will try to answer whatever I know. Thank you, Maha, for your response. Thank you, Abdul. Thank you, Jayavardhan Reddy, for your response. But first, in the beginning, I told regarding program outcomes. Please understand program outcomes. NBA has defined. Okay, this I can send. Now, whatever the presentation I have shown, I can send. No problem. I can send to your group, WhatsApp group. You can go through it. You can ask other doubts also. Please respond. You can ask other doubts also, not only subject, you can ask other doubts also. And this is my last teaching for you with this subject. And you are the last batch I am teaching. So this is the last batch I am teaching to you. Maybe next year I may not teach to anybody. Gate and gate syllabus, okay. And this has got more weightage compared to other subjects and the previous gate examinations. And that's only for this we need to have the basic knowledge is most important. Then only that from that you can build higher knowledge. If you don't have proper basic understanding, then understanding the subject is difficult. Okay, that is good. Gate questions also we will discuss. Gate problems also we will discuss. Gate syllabus, whatever we are having in the subject, that also entire thing is there in the gate. Whatever we are discussing in this subject, entire thing is there. But additionally, some subject may also be there. Some topics may be there. See, entire subject is in gate syllabus. Whatever we are going to discuss in this semester, entire thing is there in the gate. No chapter is left. Maybe somewhat still more depth will be there. All topics in the syllabus are in gate syllabus. Still more topics are there. Of course, if you are interested, I can cover. That's only I am taking extra classes. If you are more interested, I will take that also. I will cover gate questions also. If you are really interested in gate, cracking gate, okay, we will concentrate on that also. No problem. But we need to have separate classes for that. I will try to solve all gate problems. All the papers, I will explain the question. I will solve the problems. What is the theory behind also, I can explain. If you are interested, we can spend every week 1 or 2 hours. If you give me timing, so in that period, I will discuss only gate online. Give me some time, either morning or evening. Every week, 2 hours I can spend. Yes, I can take gate. Maybe you can take engineering mechanics also. I can tell. Engineering mechanics I can also cover. Maybe some part of SM also I can cover for gate. Gate questions we can solve, SM questions also. Basics we can discuss. So if you're interested, definitely I will give me some time, either morning or in the evening. So daily I solve some problems, gate problems. I will explain those things. I will explain the logic or principle behind them also. With that, you can get some more insight. Okay, tomorrow morning first hour is there. So in that class, you can give some timing. So give me every day or weekly, 2 days or 3 days, maybe 15 minutes time. So in that we discuss 3 or 4 great problems. So either it is geotech or it is maybe SM, engineering mechanics, fluid mechanics also we will discuss. Okay, thank you very much for listening, and please ask doubts. Without doubts, we cannot improve our knowledge.
Okay, sir.
Hello, Praveen. Unable to hear your voice. Okay, with this, I am closing for today's session. Next, we'll once again discuss in the class and decide the course of action. So, thank you very much for listening. Thank you all.